Hey folks, it's Babbage. We're back in the long dark. We're ready to start up again. Looks like we already have our first spam bot. Let's go ahead and ban gratitude. Goodbye, gratitude. Anyways, we're back in here. Starting a little bit later tonight. I was busy doing some laundry, working on a few other things. I am leaving on a week-long conference next week. I leave on Sunday, so that's coming up quickly. And yeah, we'll recenter ourselves a little bit, just a little bit. Okay, so yeah. So normally I would have streamed Wednesday night, but I was busy trying to get ready for the thing that I was doing last night. Let's see, how are we doing here? How we doing? Need more leather. Do we have more leather? No, we have 21 pieces of cloth. That is a lot of cloth. We have a bunch of potatoes. Do we ever find matches? No, that's right. This run is starting with no matches. Well, that's most Interloper runs, but we're 2 days in and we still have not found matches. And they have not been in usual places, so it's a little concerning. No matches. I think we checked all the rooms too, right? Okay, we are out of luck then. Very foggy. We go to Molly's yet? Went to the barn. I don't think we've been to the... No, we did. We did go there. What are we going to do? Do we have a flare at least? We do have a flare. Okay, so we can begin the process of traveling torches. One torch. We've got a little bit more visibility here. Frosty Friday, yeah. Remind us. Had a little later start than usual. We already alluded to this. So we have a flare, but we have no matches. And we have exactly one torch. And bear is coming again. Okay. I think we do the airplane crash. I don't think we did the plane crash yet, right? We did signal, so we haven't done crash yet. Yeah, so last night I was the host moderator for a literary event, an online event, featuring a wonderful sci-fi speculative fiction writer by the name of Lydia Kwa. And it was a great event, had a good time, and lots of great conversation. But oh boy, did I spend a long time like prepping questions and trying to decide how to frame, the discussion. Because she was giving sort of this webinar or presentation on the web of interconnectedness, and also thinking about the difference between foundation and tradition. And tradition being something more fixed, something more orthodox, and frequently something that is dictated to us from a small group of people in authority or power. And foundations, the things that we take as foundational, are individual and dynamic and fluid and ever shifting. So, yeah, we have different conceptions of what is foundational. And then she kind of, describes it as like the boulders of tradition and the river of foundation. And then also, yes, a little nod to Isaac Asimov, yeah. But some of it was about Chinese philosophy and the difference between Confucianism and its obsession with social and patriarchal order and everything fitting into a classification versus, elements of Taoism where things are more free-flowing, and we get more of those analogies to rivers and winds. Yeah, I feel like there is a great density in the Foundation series. I feel like there is certain generation of sci-fi and fantasy writers kind of really felt compelled to like lay these really elaborate, extremely detailed, and I would suggest possibly too detailed, um, backdrops and settings for things. The big culprit, of course, for me at least, was always Robert Jordan, who I felt was extravagant in the amount of detail, just a little too much. He just wanted to get back to the plot, right? So it is definitely allergy season here in Toronto. And I am coming to the realization that my allergy meds are not cutting it. And this frequently happens. Every few years I find that, like, whatever the brand that I've been using as my allergy medication stops being effective, and I have to rotate to something different. So right now I am using Reactin, and it is not reacting. It's not enough. My mother frequently goes back to using what was it? Oh, the Tylenol. We don't even have a hacksaw. Oh low are we? Low on the totem pole. Is it worse than Saskatchewan? I mean, Saskatchewan could potentially be worse, but I would. It's so hot in the summertime. I just spent all my time indoors. Right, I was just not in the basement where it's nice and cool. And I didn't have to deal with pollen. When I'm on like University of Toronto campus, there's a lot of lawns, which means a lot of grass and a lot of grass getting mowed all the time. And one of the worst allergies I have is grass. Follows shortly after certain tree pollens, and then also burning greenwood. So like, it's thankfully no one's starting fires on campus, but yeah, those are not good things to have on a big campus with lots of greenery, and especially when everyone's mowing the lawns, because we've got FIFA coming very, very shortly, almost immediately here. I know when I was in Los Angeles, I had no allergy problems because I live completely surrounded by concrete, right? So, but when I was in Portland area, oh, it was a struggle. I was sick all the time. The first year I was very sick because I kept thinking I had a cold, and I had forgotten that I do have allergies because I had spent so long in Los Angeles before moving up there. And then the second year I was like, oh, why does it always start in the spring? And then I was like, oh, it's because it's allergies. How did I not think about that last year? Yeah, I mean, I was on USC campus, but USC campus was very, concrete. They had grass, but it was much more contained. But yeah, everything's blowing in the wind right now. So I definitely get the sniffles, and my allergy medication not working. And I talked to my coworker Nick, who also has allergy issues, and they were they also corroborated and said that they were having a miserable time too. They thought they had it under control, and then this week has been really kind of rough. So, anyways, I didn't help myself because today I signed up. We had like
I'm so cold.
they sometimes post events that are happening on campus, and if you're not too busy, you're welcome to go and join. So there was a walking tour of campus, looking at the history of printing in Toronto, and a lot of it is pretty close to where the campus. Well, it's close to campus, if not on campus, some of the time. And there used to be a whole printing district in the area. And with printing comes also writers and artists. And so
I'm not sure I can carry much
it was
more.
really interesting, walking tour. But yeah, everywhere we went, someone was mowing the lawn. And so I just got a whole face full of like, grass, just like, yeah. Allergies were just triggered everywhere I went. So I don't know if Montreal will be better or worse. I think I have the sound alerts working again, but let me know. Did it play? You never have anything for us. Today would have been a good day to give us matches. No? Nothing? Why did it not play? Oh, hold on a second. I have an idea about why it might not be working. Where is that? Hmm. Where's the points thing? Now it should be here. Where would it be? Alert box. No. It's. I don't know. Not certain what's going on here. Okay, so let's try something different then. Yeah, no, there is now. Hmm. Do loyalty. I wonder if they. So they updated the. Oh, it's weird. Okay. Let's see. Like if you. I can play them. How can I test them? Channel points. Oh, does finger snaps not work? Maybe that's the problem. No, let's play. Hmm. Yeah. Anyways, on the sound alert side, it's playing, but I don't know. Mm-mm. Weird. All right, we'll figure this out, but not tonight. Oh, do not fall off the tree. That would be really embarrassing. We should have warmed up in the cabin before we came up here. Oh well. So we still need a bedroll, and we still need matches and a hacksaw. We need a lot of stuff. Okay, let's see if we're warm enough in here. Try to warm up a little bit. Here I have hyperthermia. Okay, let's see if we get lucky with our clothing drops here.
Hope nobody needs this anymore.
Well, sewing kit's always welcome, at least at this stage. Yeah, come on, give us something.
This stuff will come in handy.
Nope. Yay! Finally! Unexpectedly, but finally we have matches. Game changer. Yay! Okay, let's quickly get some torches going here.
That didn't work.
Honestly, I was not expecting to
Come on.
find matches on that corpse. I did not know you could do that, but hey, we'll take it.
Come on, little fire. Well, that didn't work.
Wow. This is impressively bad. One of these things will start.
Come on, little fire.
Oh, looks good. The toolbox in Ptarmigan. Yeah. That's too much like NetHack. Yeah.
this.
No, probably not. That's not useful either. Okay, that will do. Something. I would have liked another pair of long johns, but something. I think we confirmed a while ago that at least the rumor is that there's never anything indies in Interloper, so may not be worth checking.
I'll take it.
Let's see. Move up in the world, better quality dress shoes. Better hats. Do we have a rock? Yes, we do. Okay. Got time. The weather's not terrible. Let's try our luck over here. See if we can be in and out pretty quickly. Oh, guess we're not going to Skeeter's. Looks like Skeeter's has a moose Skeeter's problem. Be eaten alive by the moose Skeeter. Hey, buddy. How's it going? Having a nice little nap here? No, thermos is just extra weight for me, at least. We still have to make a lot of water, but it's fine. They're done. They're done. So yeah, since I'm leaving this this Sunday, my trip, I decided I would use the last of my bananas and make banana bread. So I was baking that a little bit earlier. Hello. Away. Go away, I said. Go. Okay, good. So right now it's cooling, and I will probably take a break in a second just to go check on the bread to see if it will come out of the loaf tin. Maybe I'll even have a sample, see how it came out. Did we pick up? Yeah, we have a pot in the stove. Let's see here. Can't take it on the plane. Can't take banana bread on the plane? Even if it counts as my personal item?
Perfect.
Okay, we'll do a quick survey over here. Okay, we will pause here for a quick break. Yeah, there's a few new alerts, or not alerts, a few new redeems now with the sound alert. Where is it here? Go. There's a chatbot now that's been enabled. think you can do this. Oh, so yeah, commands is actually doubled up. There's both a screen now and a command. I am not back yet. I just wanted to let you know that there were more commands because I enabled the sound alerts bot as well. Anyways, back in a couple minutes. Wow, the banana bread came out well. Good flavor.
This pack is getting kind of heavy.
Okay, what else we got here? Well, at least we have a bed here. That's about it, right? A little disappointing. Yeah.
drop any of this gear.
Yeah. Yep. What do we have for food? Oh, potatoes. We got lots of potatoes. Wolf is out there working, taking down animals. Okay, let's see what we got over here. Oh, we should have done more water. Oh, we did do water. Oh my god. What do you kill over here? Okay, this one's a bit of a gamble, but we're hoping to find our bedroll here. If we get the bedroll here, we are set.
It's getting dark out here. Time to look for shelter.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm not sure I can carry much more. Oh, lucky day.
Okay, there we go.
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much longer. Come on, little fire. Come on.
Come on, guys. Astrid, you can light a fire. I was telling one of my coworkers about Alone in the new season, which is coming in a couple weeks. And the more I told them about the series, they were like, "What? This is? It sounds like you're playing. It's like the Long Dark in real life." This is yeah. That's kind of the point. Okay, let's hop over on the other side. I don't see the bedroll.
Soon.
Wow. Got robbed. Blair. Well, that was disappointing. Okay. Let's make it back to our bunker. Oh, that was unfortunate. We bounced the torch outside of the.
Walk with this much gear.
Uh-oh. Might be using our flare. Okay. Where is Mr. Wolf?
Jeez, this is cold. I've never felt so cold in my life.
Oh, we have wind problems right now.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
Okay. Figure out what we're eating. Oh, we do have the hacksaw, but they won't let us use that on the... I wish you would get those saplings then. Okay, we're on day 3. Halfway through our time here.
Man, this pack is getting kind of heavy. God, I'd eat anything right about now.
Oh. um, Potato. Cooking potatoes. Okay, we're going to take a short break again. Check on... the loaf should be cooled, so I should be able to... I don't know. Cut it up? Freeze it? I haven't decided. I think I might be freezing it. Or at least part of it frozen. Yeah. Do that. So... And I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and I'm almost out of water, so I'll be back shortly. Okay, let's see here. So let's see what's next for Astrid. Have we been to Thompson's yet? I don't think we have. Or maybe we did. Nope, we were in Thompson's first, so I think we grab our saplings. I don't know what else to do. Bunker, maybe? I mean, is this going to be another run where we go to Desolation Point and hope to get the hammer and the bedroll along the way? I had another slice from the banana bread, so I definitely need to stop eating banana bread. One thing I noticed was that the loaf is very dense and heavy. Cooked all the way through, but has a heft to it. But nice and moist, which is what you want. Without it being, wet and not fully cooked.
I could eat anything right now.
Hey, Bloody Cactus, how you doing? We had a little bit later start tonight. I was mentioning earlier, getting ready for my trip next week, and I realized I had some bananas that were going overripe. So I was like, well, maybe I'll make some banana bread. So, made some banana bread tonight. Okay, what do we have? Open sesame.
Wonder if I can drop any of this gear.
Like nothing. It's another bed, though. You know. We're looking for options. We got another bed. But we still don't have a bedroll. You don't have to read through the collection sequentially. It definitely, like, I arranged the book so that there would be a how can I put it? It is meant to be a journey if you read it through from cover to cover. But at the same time, there's not like a strong chronology that's running through it, so it's not like you have to. But it is kind of like how a band might sit down and arrange their songs on an album. Because there is something that is pleasing about a particular order. So, yeah, if you begin with the last one and read it backwards, no, it doesn't do anything.
I'm not sure I can carry much more.
Yeah, Bloody Cactus, it's the season of trips. It's also the season of allergies. Probably the most encoded section of that book is the cover, which has a lot of stuff going on in it. No, I basically worked really closely with the cover design team to kind of incorporate all these different elements and kind of hidden messages into the cover. Or at least they're all details that have significance, and I wanted it to work in a particular way. I mean, the very first poem in the collection is Begin, which kind of tells you that's where you're supposed to start. And the last few poems are really do like push towards an end, in the sense that they yeah, I mean, the ending is the end of Babbage's life. Is yeah. See if we can get some guts out of this guy too, and then maybe we'll be able to get some saplings and cuts down early.
Come on, little fire.
I've read novels like that started at the end, work backwards. Wasn't Memento that way? Kind of. You start off in one moment, and then most of the movie is flashbacks until you catch up to that moment, and then you realize what you thought you understood about that moment. Yeah, so what you thought you understood about the moment is not actually what's happening. But, like, oh, I guess there was something else going on. Trying to figure out a way to say that without spoiling everything about the movie, so. Gerald. You mean in The Witcher? We also get that in the unfinished King Killer series from Patrick Rothfuss. First novel is after stuff has happened. And now we're looking back on the life. Okay, we're gonna go back to the farm. Well, actually, it's a really good question. Should we? Should we go back to the farm, or should we go? I wonder if we actually should go to. Should we go to Thompson's Crossing? I think we should try to go to Thompson's Crossing. It's foggy but warm. Not bad. If we go to Thompson's Crossing, we'll have access to the 6-burner stove. We can cook through our potatoes faster. Okay, we'll aim for the community center. Wrap up for tonight. Staying alive. Staying alive. Staying alive. Almost missed these. Oh. But tomorrow morning, I have a meeting, my monthly meeting for international writers. And then, after that, I get to spend part of the morning figuring out what to take with me on my trip. I have to finish dealing with the clothing, packing. And see what we get. The real challenge is that I'm not going to do checked baggage, so I just have a personal item in my check and my carry-on. So, traveling light. Biggest tome of poems? Maybe. No, it's not a poetry trip. It is a conference for digital humanities. I do usually take a few copies of my book with me on the off chance that I meet someone who does something cool, I think, you know, it would be a nice gesture to give them a book. Especially if their work is related to creative writing or authors. And there might be a chance that I get to come and do something with them. And I'll definitely try to build that bridge. Okay. Sleepy. Wondering if we overshot it. Let's see where we are. Walking into trees. We're doing great. Overshoot it. Are we? Like we made a wrong turn somewhere. Well, if you look at the cover of my book, Babbage's Dream, you will find that there is a binary sequence on the cover. And it does have a meaning. Uh-oh.
Can you eat trees? Because I'm gonna.
Go away. Go away. Go away. Go away. I wanted that sapling, but I wasn't going to fight the wolves over it. Leaving us alone? I see the church. I got a little bit, what's Lost Country? On the cover is a digital painting based on a photograph I sent to the book design cover, or the book cover designer, who had asked me if there was something that popped up in my mind as thinking about what a cover could be, and I said, well, I have this photograph, and I have been thinking, since the image does show up in a couple poems, that should be the cover, but I feel like it should be a painting and not.
Starting to feel numb.
Go away, go away. It was a little bit closer to close contact I did not want. But yeah, so I was going to say is that the image is actually a photograph I took of the wreck of the Peter Iredale, which is on the Astoria coast. Many years ago, my family.
This pack is getting kind of heavy.
I was living and working in. Oh, we're already here. Okay, so we don't have to worry about missing anything. Yeah, my family, other than this really sad fact that we're going to use up our torch for nothing. Well, not getting killed. Let's see. Lost Country. They don't have a lot of stock at the publisher doesn't keep a lot of stock because it's an old book. And so that means that sometimes they wait until they put in an order. So that could mean that you're waiting until the next time they put in an order with the printer. They also can do print on demand, which I think is how they do most of their fulfill most of the orders these days. But then it really depends because they don't have their own printing press. They depend on so the print on demand services and scheduling. So sometimes that could mean a delay. I want the Babbage's Dream bookmark. I did have a bookmark that would give out. I had a stock of old punch cards, and I would give them out as promotional things for people. Yeah. But I was going back to like the image of the wreck of the Peter Iredale. So one summer, my parents decided that they would drive down from Canada, and I was working in California, or maybe I was going to school. I can't remember which. But in any case, we decided that it would be easier to meet in the middle. So they came to Astoria, Oregon, where one of my mother's friends lives. Her family lives, and so we stayed. We went and visited them, and I drove up to meet them, and my parents met me there. And one particular day, we went out to the beach to see the shipwreck, and I remember taking a picture of the shipwreck, looking out towards the sea. And as I took the shot, my father, who had been out walking on the beach ahead of us, I had lost track of him, and he stepped right into there's kind of this window in what remains of the wreck, and my father stepped right into that window shot. So if you look closely at the shot, there's a figure in the window or the gap of the wreck, and that's my father. And it just kind of, for some reason, really resonated. Years later, when I was, my father was dying, and then after he passed away, and I was finishing off the book, and a lot of the poems that I had written, um, had this sense of disappearing, and sometimes surprising, like resurfacing, and so that image kind of stuck with me as like this unexpected moment of discovery where my father just somehow pops into this image of like the ocean and of the wreck, so yeah. I mean, that's the thing about first books. I would say like probably the merch is never going to be, unless you're Stephen King, right? um, or someone super famous, but most often your first book merchandise, the bookmarks and everything like that, they're ephemera. They're things that are meant to disappear in time, and they don't really have a lot of value unless someone is putting together an archive or wants to preserve the archive of your work. And then some of that like material from the time period when the first book came out might be of interest to someone. But usually there's not like a long line to acquire your bookmarks and your flyers and things like that. Um, and these days, often like a digital version may be sufficient for archive purposes.
I could eat anything right now.
I don't know if it's sufficient, right? It's not the same, but oh, movie rights. Movie rights is cool. Yeah, no one's asked me about the movie rights for my books. But, I did get to work on an opera, right? So, in a weird way, my dissertation turned into an opera. Not really. Actually, the very first opera project I worked on, which we didn't finish, was about Ada Lovelace. Um, and then we did a shorter opera, which drew on some of the material from the Ada Lovelace opera, but repurposed it for a different. So it was still Ada Lovelace in the opera, but it was like a flashback or a story that was told about her for the purposes of something more contemporary. And so we kind of travel back in time to see this moment, and then we go back to the present moment. I would love to see a good movie about Babbage, or a great movie about Ada Lovelace. I have seen a lot of mediocre attempts. Yeah, there are just a lot of plays and films and short documentaries that don't really do justice. Okay, let's see. We got potatoes here. Oh, we still have more potatoes we haven't cooked. How did we mess up on that? I think my biggest complaint about some of the fictionalized narratives around Ada Lovelace and Charles Babbage is that some people insist on imagining there must be some sort of romantic tie between the two. And there's just nothing in the historical record, nothing in any of the journals from the time period, nothing from any of the third parties that would suggest that. Everything says that if anything, Babbage was kind of a surrogate father to Ada. Although most tellings of, like, most accounts seem to suggest that they met when she was 17 and he was in his late 30s, early 40s, and he had a daughter the same age as her. A daughter that he later, like within about a year or two, she dies from a fever. And so, to me, that suggests that the bond initially between them was much more like a father and a daughter. And especially, there are some other accounts that suggest that probably they knew each other, they moved in the same circles, and may have known each other even before the time that she and her mother came to see the Difference Engine at one of his salon parties. That in fact there's an account that suggests Babbage was a friend of the family, and that there are accounts of him carrying Ada on his shoulders. At 17, that's not going to happen. So she must have been much younger when they first met. And then I think there was a moment which he kind of looked at it as like, she's a precocious, like curious, really bright, person, um, who has really clever, unexpected ideas about what could be done with math and what she wanted to do, in the world. And so I think at first there was a moment in which he thought that she would be a little bit more like a protege, not exactly a protege, more like just like someone that he would, she had mentors and tutors, so it wasn't that he was going to be teaching her. But here's the thing, is like within a short period of time, once she's like 17, 18 years old, and by the time she's in her 20s, it's clear that she is extremely intelligent, and that her understanding of what he's trying to do exceeds anyone else. And there's an account after Ada's death of an American tourist visiting London who happens to meet Babbage, and Babbage kind of adopts him and shows him around, and they have a fun day going around. And he's showing him all these different parts of London and telling him all these really great stories. And the American tourist, having heard a bit about Babbage, knew also about Ada, and asked him about Ada. And the letter writer, because he writes down all the things that happened, he writes down in his letter, and he says that when Ada's name came up, his entire countenance changed. He had been so jovial and so free spoken before, and his entire countenance changed, and it was like this whole cloud had descended on him. And he just told the guy, he said, like, there was never anyone else who could understand and explain how this machine worked. That she was irreplaceable, effectively. And he was just profoundly saddened by her loss and the tragedy around, like sort of her life, that she had so much potential. She had done so much in terms of being a public face of interpreting, and not only interpreting, but imagining in a way that was even more grand and more fantastic and more, um, how can I put it? Basically, she is the one who looked at the analytical engine and said, this is a machine that can do more than calculate. This is a machine that can solve all sorts of problems. In fact, someday in the future, machines like this will not only perform great, will aid people in creating and solving mathematical and scientific problems, but these machines will be used to create art and music and literature. And that's something that Babbage hadn't considered. He had not thought that far ahead, but she could see the eventual outcome of what would be possible with a computer. That to me is like absolutely incredible. And so Babbage like recognized that she was not his student. She was his peer. And he was a very proud man. He did not have many people that he counted as peers. And to count someone half his age as a peer is a really remarkable thing. So, so I find any depictions of them as being romantically entangled completely belittle and lessen. They reduce that relationship in a way that is not historical and not factual and not respectful of the fact that they were just really two incredible minds who had a similar sense of humor and who loved both the math and the science of it, but also the possibilities of dreaming what could be possible with a machine that could, a general purpose, programmable machine that you could give it any sort of algorithm, any sort of puzzle, and you could program it and it would solve these things, or it would create these things. So I think that's why I think like there's very little that does justice out there to like the life of these two. I'd say I give you two wonderful like takes. I think if you want a wonderful graphic novel slash it's just Lovelace and Babbage. I think it's called The Adventures of Lovelace and Babbage. This is a fantastic book, and I've actually corresponded with the artist slash writer for this, and she said that when she it's by Sydney Padua, and she said that she did the first webcomic, as kind of a joke, just for fun on Ada Lovelace Day. And thought, well, who is Ada Lovelace? She read up a little bit, and she said, okay, I'll put together a little like comic to celebrate the day for women in programming and science. Yeah. And then she fell down a rabbit hole because as she was doing the research for creating the first comic, she found all this interesting, like, historical and sometimes really obscure details about Babbage and about Ada. and she like decided that she would keep making these things because the characters, the people were so interesting. And then she ended up becoming like accidentally became a scholar, and she would dig up. We corresponded because like I was really fascinated by all these interesting tidbits of knowledge and reference that she was working into these comics, and she shared with me some of her sources, some of the things that she had found. And I shared. I was doing my PhD at the time. I shared some of the things that I had found that were curious or fun that like people just don't know anything about. They're just like so obscure, but they're interesting like perspective on the two of them. And so yeah, so that's absolutely delightful to read. It's really great, and she has this wonderful section of endnotes at the end of the book. So that I think is really great. And then there's a biography, and I think I've mentioned this before. Anthony Hyman. There's what is it called? Charles Babbage, pioneer of the computer. And this is a phenomenal. Let's see if I can find it here. Sending. The other one I would say is this. This is Anthony Hyman, Charles Babbage, pioneer of computer. Anthony Hyman. This is one of the most detailed biographies. Extremely well researched, very thorough. There's a lot of like the details that I include in my poems. I found in this biography, and then there were also like a lot of other things that I found like on my own. But this was a great starting point. I thought that this did not simplify Babbage's life, nor did it reduce like his contributions to just his work on the computer. And so I thought that this was really, and it painted a really complete picture of him as a person over time. And so, yeah. Anyways. Oh, really? You have a Lovelace conference room just down from the Grace Hopper conference room. Very cool. Anyways, I should get Astrid to sleep here. Or I guess to the morning at least. And then we will wrap up. I'll read a poem and then we'll go raid someone. Why did I lose the... Okay. This is overtime. This is overtime. I don't have anything pressing though. Okay. So where are we at right now? We are on day 4. We finally have matches. I'm going to step out and step back in. Don't attack me, Wolf. Don't attack me.
I'm not sure I can carry much more.
Okay. Okay, so let's go read a poem before we go. Poem chooser. Extern. Oh, it's something from Babbage's Dream. Okay. This is extern. A variable defined outside any function block. From Babbage's Dream, which we've been talking about. Let's see. There we go. Babbage's Dream. Published by Sundress Publications in 2017. Beyond this moment and the cubicled space I leave behind, Something else exists. The freeway at 3 a.m. Bare, silent, a crease in the troubled skin of the city, the thin gray waterway I drift in, drink in, disengaged, without clouds, light, or memory. The car carrying me forward on autopilot, and my eyes blank to the world full of the invisible grace of gravity. What holds us in place at every turn, keeps us from sliding into the concrete walls that divide us from oblivion. Everything outside us contains us. At home, the vacant bed, the sheets unstirred, the sound of the upstairs neighbor making love, the creak and bang of her wooden frame shifting above me against the walls while I sit, sleepless, before the gray mask of the TV screen, numb to the pantomime of fire flickering across the length of the empty living room, the dull end of things. Some nights I hear a man on the street below cursing at an invisible stranger. You betrayed me. You betrayed me. You will pay. Uncolored dogs prowl beyond him, and the girls on the corner in their short skirts bare their teeth, pale and broken. A ragged young man digs with one hand down the gutter drain, trying to pull something free before it slips forever out to sea. Sometimes I dream of the ghost of a bird, its eyes dark like mine, asleep in the fold of a tree, its shadow the shape of a harp. So we use the extern is another way to define like something that is external to the main piece of code that you're working on. And so the sense of being outside, these elements that are outside of us, that's kind of what's driving a lot of this poem. The opening moments of this poem are a reference back to when I worked as a computer games programmer, and there was a long stretch when things were terrible, absolutely terrible. And I worked a horrific number of hours. I was working 60, 70, 80, and occasionally 94-hour work weeks. Some days there was one week I did a 19-hour day followed by a 22-hour day. And and I would drive home so exhausted that I would get into the car, and 45 minutes I'd pull into my parking spot. In the other, like I went from El Segundo, which is kind of by the airport, all the way to like Glendale, which is near Burbank. And I'd drive for 45 minutes, but I would have no recollection of anything that happened in the 45 minutes. I remember getting in the car at work and pulling into my parking spot at the end. I was like, what happened? I was on autopilot the whole way and I had no idea what I was doing, and that terrified me. So the poem's kind of about that, like getting outside of yourself even, and like carried forward in this really empty life. And then I do remember that one time I got home and I was simultaneously exhausted, but I could also not fall asleep. I was just too, I won't say wired, but it was just my mind was still too busy even while it was exhausted. And so I would watch movies. Back then Netflix came on DVDs in the mail, right? So I would check and see what I had in the stack of DVDs to watch, and I would watch something, and the main purpose was let my brain like relax enough that I could fall asleep. And one of those nights I was sitting there like zoning out watching whatever it was, and I realized my upstairs neighbor had company, and she was not quiet. They were very loud. I was like, can't you give me a break? I just want to fall asleep. I just don't need all this. Yeah, so it was a strange neighborhood I lived in. It was a very quiet neighborhood. Um, but there were like these few moments where like some odd thing happened. One of them was that night that I overheard someone on the street yelling, "You betrayed me, you betrayed me, you will pay." I was like, wow. I now have a lot of questions about who lives in my neighborhood. And I had questions before. It was a very quiet neighborhood where there'd be these older Armenian gentlemen. That Glendale is a very large Armenian population, and um, there was a number of like apartment buildings on my block, and there were these older, at least one or two older Armenian gentlemen that would sit outside on a chair on the lawn in front of their building, and people would throughout the day people would pull up, get out of their car, go talk to this person, and then they would go back in their car and drive away. And then there would also be like unmarked, white vans in the neighborhood. And I was starting to think like this feels like so much like I'm living in the middle of like a mob area, right? So I asked one of my friends who was a lifelong resident of Glendale and whose family was Armenian. And I said, like, am I imagining things? And I described what I was seeing, and like that conversation about you betrayed me, you betrayed me, or like the men that would walk around the streets, these big guys walking around the streets late at night, walking their tiny dogs. And it was like, say, am I imagining things, or do I live in the middle of the Armenian mafia? I mean, is that what's going on? And my friend said, possibly. It's like, possibly. He didn't discount it. He said, like, it sounds like it. So it's what's the most suspicious part about it was two things. One, there were never cops on the street. Never ever cops on the street. Never came to our street. And two, yeah, it was just like the traffic in the area. So like who, that sort of behavior about people coming out, visiting the person sitting on the lawn and going back, it was just like very suspicious. It was like, I don't know if that's how it's done, but apparently that was how it was done. So, so anyways, I kind of embellish and exaggerate like some things. We didn't have anyone working the corner on our street. That wasn't our neighborhood. Um, but there were neighborhoods in Los Angeles that were more like that, and there, but the building off of that, the images, that sense of like being empty and living in a space that, it was easy to feel outside of yourself. And I kind of borrowed some of those other elements and worked them into the poem. And the other little bit of trivia is like the last two lines of that poem. Um, Sometimes I dream of the ghost of a bird, its eyes dark like mine, asleep in the fold of a tree, its shadow the shape of a harp. Um, I entered those two lines as part of, what was it? Vancouver, Washington had a transit, a poetry in motion competition with the transit authority. So the people that run the buses, and there was a contest where you would submit, a short poem or an excerpt from a poem, and if you won, then your poem or excerpt of the poem would appear, in, if you're on the inside of the bus, you see like the advertising. Um, One of those slots would be on some of the buses would be your poem. And so it was really wild to take public transit. Like I ended up being one of the 10 people that was selected for this program. And so like I would be riding the bus and I'd look up and I'd say, "Oh, that's my poem." And if you yeah, in the back of my room, I have like one of those one of those bus like transit card things. They gave it to us as part of the prize. It was a small monetary amount, and they also gave us the actual thing. So it was pretty. Yeah, it's Vancouver, Washington, not Washington, Vancouver. Yeah. Yeah, so Vancouver, the city of Vancouver in Washington, which is different from the city of Vancouver in British Columbia. And what's more confusing is that I lived in both of them, within a short period of time. So that was weird. Yeah. Anyways, we've talked a lot, and we should probably get going, and I should probably get some sleep. So let's get our raid figured out here. Let's see who we can go visit. I see Tormuse. Episode 5. Hey, more power to him if he wants to do that. But I could not get it to. I tried to get into the story, but I kind of got frustrated with it, so. But we'll go visit and support Tormuse. Lerone is doing a tourney. Which tourney is going on? Maybe we'll take a look at that too. Okay, we'll try someone new. I have not visited Lerone before, so we'll do that. Okay, we'll try that. We'll visit Lerone. And thank you all for hanging out with me. Yeah, we'll try someone new. Okay, so thank you all for hanging out with me. I will be back tomorrow night. It'll be tricky. I don't know if I'll be on super late, but I'll be on for. I'll be on. I think tomorrow night, and then Sunday morning I have to head out now, so I can't be up too late. So okay, take care.